a moment of a break between reviewing duties, but this is a break where I'm feeling quite perceptive, but you can decide that. I'm just sharing some observations from many years at the Edinburgh Fringe, lots of other Fringe festivals, my own theatre making too, and I'm just focusing on the moments, the minutes, could be the hours and the days that follow a show that you have performed with your theatre company. And I've got particularly interested in the moments and the minutes. Something I've observed is when a show has happened, particularly let's think about, say, first night, but the first few days of a show, which probably means the director is still present. There may be other people there, the producer might be there, there could be assistant directors. The show has happened, let's say there's been a round of applause, let's say the audience have come down to a bar, some have gone home, some stay behind. The venue I was in yesterday was very noisy, and then the group come down and they're often looking tired. The cast have come down, the rest of the team are down, and some are at the bar buying a drink, some might have already nabbed a table and everybody crowds around it. And what do you do in that aftermath? So what I'm noticing is in shows where the actors are just on a job, a gig, they have probably already got the session booked in for notes from the director, and that's certainly not going to happen till the next day. If it's an evening show, it's very, very late. And so those shows, I'm not using professional meaning it's a good thing and everyone else is bad, but in shows that have got probably funding, people are just paid, they're on a contract, everybody goes home. It might be a director might stay behind with producers, they might just sit there over a drink, kind of on the job 24/7, which not everybody is, and they might start chatting about what just happened, good and bad. And so it's this idea that in the immediate aftermath, we don't stop work, we've got to keep going, we've got to stay in flow until we all go home. And in some cases, if everybody's living together, they might continue that ritual literally to the early hours of the morning. They might be making food and they're still chatting about the work. And I'm not here to criticise that. Being in flow and being so committed and immersed might mean you just can't unimmerse, and it's better to be in there. But so I'm noticing some groups, everybody goes home. It's the end of the day, and there's going to be a timetable of meetings that they need to have. They might go back into the performance space early. They might even be in the cafe attached to it or the bar, and they will sit down with their notes and have a meeting. But I noticed with some groups that absolutely we now need to sleep on what happened, and then we're going to meet the next day. And I've believed this for a long time, that things that you say in the immediate aftermath of a process, be that a performance, are going to be very different if you sleep on it. So if you come out as a director dissatisfied, you've got sort of negative notes to say, the best place to share that is not in the noisiness of the bar. And you need to let things sink in, and you can often get deeper and very different insights, or things you were going to say become different when you've slept on it. So I've argued before that sleeping on big decisions is always important. So I'm noticing some other things happening. I'm just noticing them, and it's not from any particular group. And this is over many years. I've noticed that some people come down, they're right amongst all the cast, amongst the punters who are coming up to them, and I'm going to use the word indiscreetly. They're talking about what just happened. They're giving notes in front of everybody else. Voices might even be raised. The real danger is if one or two of the cast go home or back to their digs or wherever they're staying, and two stay, and then you get an unbalanced conversation. And there's a real danger of what I call aboutness, that whether we're consciously doing it, we start to talk about the other performers who aren't there, and it's an incomplete conversation. And I would argue for everybody to be there, for safety, for well-being, but also because then we get the whole picture in the room. I think it's Marvin Weisbrod that says if you want to deal with a whole system, then you need to have the whole system represented in any conversations. I'm just wondering about health and well-being too. For you, it might be, as a group, that could be your sort of local culture that you've developed. Things are better out and immediate and not put off. And that might be that you do go and find your little corner in the bar. Some people are standing outside, I notice, in London, and they just literally debrief immediately. But for the reasons I've said about digesting it, that might not be the best thing to do. It could be that you just have tiny tech notes afterwards. They can just go in very quickly. You might have written them down as a directory and just kind of hand them to people. They might be emailed to people. But criticism is not great the night before the next performance. And it's better to do it in the day, over breakfast or after breakfast, or even better in a professional meeting. Some of the other rituals I've noticed is some directors come out and they're defaulting to a state of dissatisfaction. They assume that that's their role. And so the glass is always half empty, or at least 10% empty, and they think it's their role to pick up on what went wrong. And sometimes it's better to pick up on that when you've had the ritual of saying what's right. You might want to look up a field called appreciative inquiry, where whatever's gone wrong, we try and frame it of how can we do it better, rather than it's a sort of negative problem to frame negatively and stop bad happening. I would say some groups, it's very dysfunctional to be thick as thieves, as the expression goes, and to sort of be intensely on stage together. Your director's in the corner, the lighting people are there, and they all just come out, and then you regroup and you just start talking more about what just happened for all the reasons that I've suggested. I also noticed that part of the ritual of coming out is whether you engage with the public. Some groups absolutely don't come down to the bar and they go home. Others, though, have a very clear break. If you're allowed to be either in the dressing room, somewhere where you might have a ritual, you jokingly, but sometimes it's real, the group hug, but that can be a verbal group hug. It can literally just be saying well done. It could be that you all have a coffee together, or that the first drink afterwards, if you are having a drink, and just like sport, it is probably not a good idea to be disturbing your sleep with alcohol. That's up to you. I'll leave that to you, but I certainly know performers that won't touch that stuff, not just while they're performing, but immediately afterwards for sure. They need to wake up fresh, and alcohol doesn't necessarily help that with some people. But whatever the process is, it could just be a conversation. Is one of the best things to do is just to be together, maybe, particularly if it's really intense work, and just spend some time just saying how you feel. Checking in is the good expression beforehand, and checking out afterwards. That's not about a post-mortem about the show. So I just think part of this is find the ritual that works, but do be aware there might be some general stuff about health and well-being and how groups in any industry, teams in industries, improve things, and that's sometimes to sleep on what just happened before you start to debrief what just happened. And in a lot of other cases, note that reviewers are in bars, you're on show when you come out. And subliminal judgments can be made about groups being unprofessional if the first thing they do is pour out a bottle of wine and everyone has a well-deserved drink. You're on show, people pass on judgments, and I'm not one to make judgments about who's drinking. I'm just encouraging you to decide what you feel is best for your well-being, best for the brand and the image of the company, if that's important to you, and to notice that the rituals before and after shows, I think, are really important to the performance. A friend of mine, a writer, once called what you do before you go on stage is the performance, and it's kind of performative as well. How you warm up, how you get in, how you make sure you hit the ground running on stage, and then the whole process of tidying up, cleaning up, being together after the show, being together down in the public spaces, deciding how you are going to get home and what you do to prepare for the next day. I think all of these things are a really significant part of your practice, at least as important, if not more important, than your rehearsal.